Hey everyone, my name is Shane, and I'm going to show you my backpacking hunting gear setup. It's taken me a long time to compile all this gear, but I finally think I'm where I want to be, and I want to share that with you all. I just wanted to note that I have no sponsorships or affiliates. I don't own stock in any of these companies. It would be nice if Vortex could send me a new hat, because this one's getting pretty worn. But I just wanted to find the best gear that was durable, that didn't compromise safety, and that was light. So it doesn't matter to me, and I don't think it should matter to you either, whether that comes from a backpacking gear company or a hunting supplier. It just matters that it's effective. Full disclosure, I'm not actually out hunting right now. It's mid-February, I'm in my yard, and the reason I decided to do the mock setup as opposed to try to make it work in the field is because I don't like carrying this big heavy camera out with me. Everything else is the same though. This is the actual gear I would use out backpacking, and I did bring my elk hunting rifle. But we won't let that distract us from the actual point of the video. Over the years, I started feeling more tired, my pack was getting heavier, and I'm not sure if that was true or if I was just getting weaker, but it is what pushed me to do this project, refine my gear. And I'm really glad I did, because I do genuinely feel like I can hunt harder, I can go in further, and have more energy to be an effective hunter. I used to think that gram counting was silly, and this is a practice that is common in the ultralight backpacking community, where you weigh everything to the gram or grain. And the reason I thought it was silly is because if I don't have to pack out game, then I'll just carry whatever the heck I wanted. But I broke down, I bought a scale, I started weighing all of my equipment, and what I found out is that there's a lot of things I didn't need, and there was a lot of equipment that I could replace with something that's just as durable but doesn't compromise safety and is much lighter. I would argue that it's more important for the backpack hunter to be vigilant about gear weight than it is for your regular ultralight backpacker. And it's not that my pack weighs less. In fact, my pack weighs more, and that's because I think of my base weight differently. If I need it for hunting, that's my base weight. I need to bring a gun, I need to bring binoculars, a tripod. So I might have cut 2 pounds off the weight of the sleeping bag, getting a really nice, good down bag from a good company. But then I brought a 3.5 pound pair of binoculars. So my pack wouldn't be ultra light if you think about all the things like your tripod, your rifle, your binoculars, ammo. These are things an ultralight backpacker would never bring. That's why it's really important for you as a hunter to have that base equipment, like your tarp or tent, your sleeping bag, your sleeping pad, all that stuff, your cookware, be really refined so that you can carry that important gear you need to hunt, and you can also save that room and weight for packing out game. What we're not going to talk about today is clothing and food. And these aren't things that in the backpacking world are considered part of your base weight, but the reason I'm not going to talk about them is because they could take up an entire separate video. And my thoughts on food are pretty simple, actually. I don't like freeze-dried meals. They all taste the same to me. I go in my pantry and fridge and I grab whatever's convenient. And then as far as clothing goes, I wear First Light mostly, but that's just because I started buying First Light, and they have good equipment. There's so many good manufacturers out there. There's no any best one, and the amount and type of clothing you bring is highly weather dependent. We'll jump right in with talking about the backpack that I use. This is a Mystery Ranch Beartooth, and it weighs 6.2 pounds. My old backpack, it was an Eberle stock, and it, without any weight in it, was over 11 pounds. So you do the math, a huge savings in weight. I'm not compromising anything. It's an excellent pack. I've packed so far elk, deer, and bear with it. So we're gonna talk about shelters. This is a huge conversation. I don't wanna get in too deep. There's 3 main types of shelters: tarps, tents, and bivy sacks. Anytime I can, I'm gonna try to use this tarp. And the reason is because it's lighter. Some people don't like the idea of tarps. They think that they're not effective against rain and snow, or maybe that they're worried about snakes, and definitely bugs could be a problem. So if I know that the weather is going to be particularly nasty or the bugs are going to be bad, I will bring a tent. But this tarp is a 7 foot by 9 foot tarp by Zpacks, and I can actually fit 2 people under there. I don't always have it up this high. If it's going to rain, I'd put it lower and then the sides out wider so that the water sheds further from the sleeping area. But this is the basic idea. You can set it up a million different ways. You just have to use your imagination. And I carry 3 different stakes when I'm out backpacking. I carry a handful of each. They're super light and you can use them for all sorts of different things. This is a carbon fiber peg, and I'll use this for either my ground cloth or for the guy lines of the tarp. And this is a titanium V-stake, and they're really sturdy for how much they weigh. And I'll use those primarily for the guy lines of the tarp. And this little stake is also titanium, and I use this for the ground cloth. All of them almost weigh practically nothing, so carry some. You never know when you'll need it. I carry 2 trekking poles. Both of them are made by Gossamer gear. They're 3-piece trekking poles made out of carbon fiber. They're the lightest poles I could find, and they telescope down. I carry them everywhere with me anymore. I used to think trekking poles were silly, but if for no other reason, carry them to set up your tarp. This is a Western Mountaineering Megalite 30-degree sleeping bag, and it weighs a little over 1.5 pounds. This is great for the early season or for scouting, but I actually get by with it most of the time because I can layer or put a hot water bottle on the bottom of the sleeping bag. Anything from Western Mountaineering is going to be great. This is the Thermarest Neoair Extra Light sleeping pad, and it weighs just over 1 pound. I've had a lot of other sleeping pads in the past. This is the lightest and most comfortable that I've used. All of them are going to pop if you're rough on them, and so I always use a ground cloth underneath the sleeping pad anymore. This is my ground cloth. It's made by Zpacks. It's called their Duplex ground cloth. Same material as my tent and my pack cover. Really lightweight and prevents my sleeping pad from getting punctured, because that always makes for a really miserable night's sleep. So this isn't necessarily a need. This is the Hyperlite mountain gear kind of pillow, so you can stuff like a down jacket in it. And all it really is a zippered dry bag with a nice felt that feels good on your face. So it doesn't weigh very much, and you can hold other stuff in it to keep your pack organized. This is the stove I've been using, and it's made by Soto. It's called the Soto Amicus, and it runs off of isobutane. I'm sure you're familiar with. I don't always use this stove. Sometimes I do break out the white gas. I have an MSR Whisper Light, and the white gas is nice at really high altitudes or cold weather. But primarily, if I can, I bring this stove. All right, so this is my mess kit. It's really lightweight. This is a titanium pot. It's called the Titan Titanium, made by MSR. It's 1.5 liters inside. I already showed you my stove, but I'd also keep it in here. I have a titanium fork made by Vargo, a titanium spoon made by Vargo. Keep the aluminum pot holder in here. It came with the set so you don't burn yourself. I always keep a couple lighters in my pack, one of them being in my mess kit. And I take a P38 can opener because I sometimes do bring in canned food. So everything would go inside. And you have everything you need to cook right here. This is a platypus gravity-fed water filter, and I've had pumps in the past. I got sick of pumping, and the gravity filter is so much better. You just let gravity do the work. And this is the dirty bag, so you put water in the dirty bag, and then you put it up high, and then you put your clean bags down below, and there's some tubing and the filter that goes in between. And I can carry 6 liters of water in total with these 2 clean bags and the dirty one, because I can carry dirty water in this bag, and then when I finish some, I can filter it into there. So totally simple design. I vastly prefer this over the hand pumps. And some people, they're, well, if you don't have a pool of water to dip the bag in, then how do you get water? I've sometimes made a little gravity filter system out of a little piece of tubing, put it in just a tiniest little bit of water, and I filter it into the dirty bag, and there you go. These are the binoculars I've been using, and they're the Vortex Razor 18x56 UHDs. And they don't replace a spotting scope, but they come darn close. And I will still carry a spotter on certain hunts and in certain places, but I try not to because I get a lot more eye fatigue looking out of a spotter, and I do not get that with a pair of binoculars. However, they are useless without a good tripod. So my tripod has the camera on it right now, and I can't show you, but it's nothing special. It's just an old Vortex Pro GT, and I'd really like to get a new tripod that is lighter and has the features I want. So if you have any good recommendations, let me know. But you also are going to need an adapter to put the binoculars on the tripod. And so this is a Vortex unadapter, and that's just the piece here, and then it has a piece that goes on the binoculars. And this is a quick release plate specifically for my tripod. So every tripod is going to be different. This is the elk rifle I've been using. It's a Tikka T3X and a 300 Winchester mag. Always like to have a sling, and this is a neoprene scope cover. Right now the scope I have on it is a Vortex Viper 4-16x44. It's not anything special, but my guns tend to get banged up anyway. This is a full box of 300 Winchester mag ammo, and it weighs quite a bit actually, but I like to carry 20 rounds, sometimes a little more, sometimes less, depending on the trip. When I'm hunting with my rifle, I like to carry this shooting yoke and an extra quick release plate for the tripod. It's just a good extra peace of mind knowing that you're always going to have a sturdy rest. So you got to have game bags, and I used to run pillowcases for years, and then what I found out is I actually saved about £1 by getting some dedicated game bags instead of using pillowcases. And this is the tag bags. They sell a lot of different kits, and so I bought, I think there's 5 or 6, and I just keep it in the smallest bag that it comes in. All right, let's talk about saws and knives for meat processing. So I used to carry one of those replaceable blade knives. There's a lot of different brands. Gerber, Outdoor Edge, I think is one of them. And I kind of got sick of just having to throw away the blades all the time and the waste involved with it. So what I've gone to is a Benchmade Mini Bugout, and it's just a regular knife, but I keep it really sharp. I keep all my knives really sharp. And I've processed an entire deer with just this knife, and a great general purpose knife to keep in your pocket. So really like it because it's light, and I always get orange if I can because I can see it. I've lost so many knives while processing animals. Secondly, we have the Benchmade Altitude. It looks like a skeleton of a knife because it is. Really great, sharp, and it keeps its edge well. So with these two knives, I can pretty much process any animal, but I do carry around a saw and a cable saw. So this is a reciprocating saw blade. I keep a piece of duct tape on the end, and the reason is because it acts kind of as a handle, but also you never know when you're going to need duct tape. And you can find this on Amazon, just reciprocating bone saw blade. Same here, Amazon stainless steel cable saw. And the reason I have these is mostly for getting the skull plate. So elk have an extremely tough top of the head, and so I'll work it with this a little bit. I'll get tired of that. I'll take the cable saw and work at it a little bit, and eventually you can get an elk skull cap with just these, and you don't have to carry out the head. So carrying these couple ounces versus carrying the head of a bull elk is a huge weight savings. And with these 4 tools, you can process pretty much any animal. I've been carrying this pulley with me out in the backcountry. It's made by a brand called Packtowel. And actually I haven't decided if I really need it or if it's just kind of convenient and fun to have around. So to put the pulley in the tree, you're going to need some cordage. For that, I've been using Dyneema. Dyneema has a really high strength to weight ratio and is good general purpose line for a lot of different uses. I carry some other lines too. This is kind of like paracord, but not quite, because It has a much higher strength for weight, and it's a brand called Lawson line. They make all kinds of different good cordage. So this is their Bearline, and the Bearline obviously is made for hanging food in the tree to keep out of the reach of bears. But I got this whole system mostly so that I can hang meat, and I have hung meat with it, but again, I'm not quite convinced if it's just nice to have versus if it's something that I need. So I carry two flashlights. One of them is a Fenix HM23 Headlamp, and then I have a Fenix E12, just a regular flashlight. And the key for me was having batteries that are the same across all my electronic devices, including my GPS. Because when I carry spare batteries, I just want the one battery type. And I like to have two flashlights for when you need to return to a kill in the night. You can leave a flashlight there and then find your way back super easy. This is the GPS that I carry. It's a Garmin GPS Map 64 ST. Simple. I mean, it is what it is as far as weight goes. I do carry paper maps too as well. This is the medical kit that I use, and it's made by Adventure Medical Kits, and they call it the Ultralite Watertight 0.7. There's a lot of good options out there, depending on how much you want to carry. So this one's pretty light and it has the basic things that I need, and I've added a sewing kit. However, I've never needed anything out of here. The only time I've gotten in here is when my friends have asked me for things. So I don't leave home without it, and neither should you. Sometimes it's nice to be clean out there, so I do carry this Packtowel, and it's really light. The brand is actually called Packtowel, so simple as that. In this sack is my pack cover, and it's made by Zpacks. It's the same material as my tent and ground cloth, and it's really light, so I take it whether or not I think I'm gonna have any weather. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you're gonna bring your cell phone, and this is an iPhone 12 mini, so it's actually pretty light, but of course most of the places that I backpack, I don't actually get cell reception, so it's more or less used for photographs. And if you know you're not gonna have service, you're gonna wanna bring a satellite device, whether that's a phone or a beacon. There's a lot of good options out there, but for the weight conscious, check out the Garmin InReach Mini. If you think I forgot anything, or you want me to go into more detail about any specific gear, please comment. I could also make a separate video about the food that I take backpacking. I'd be happy to show you my fridge and pantry. And if you're really curious about the clothing that I use, I can show you. Just let me know. Thank you very much.